Hey everybody, you're here from VidGamiac.com. Here we are today back in the Chains of Hate update for Dead by Daylight, going for the Adept Deathslinger achievement. This one is going to be done from the killer side. It is to get a merciless killer rating as the Deathslinger, only using his unique perks. You're going to need the Deathslinger for this, so make sure you grab him from the DLC pack or the in-game store. You also need to make sure you get him to a minimum of level 10 to open up 3 free perk slots. The perks you want to run and only run are going to be Gearhead, Dead Man's Switch, and then finally Retribution, which is going to be a Hex perk. Make sure you leave the 4th slot empty if you have that available to you, and you can do whatever you want for add-ons or offerings. Make sure you get into the game, and it's time to go for the Merciless Killer rating using this build. So, whenever you're playing as Deathslinger, you're going to notice he's going to be a little slow and clunky. However, he's going to make up for this with his ability in the form of the Spear Gun, which is going to allow you to reel survivors in. So, when you find your first survivor, make sure you try to hit them like normal, and then you're going to get the good old chase going. Then, whenever you are in this situation, if you spot a location where you can use your Spear Gun, make sure you do take advantage of it. You are going to hold left trigger to aim down sights, and then you're going to hold right trigger to shoot. You should shoot a chain, and that should allow you to pull them in, and then you should be able to hit them once they get to your side of the chain, and then that is going to count as another normal attack. Now keep in mind that this attack is just going to deal 1 health state worth of damage, so you're going to need to injure the survivor before you can down them using this attack. And then once you manage to down them, just make sure you bring them to the hook like normal. Now, do keep in mind the Spear Gun is going to have its share of weaknesses. The first one you are probably going to notice right away is it's only going to have a single shot in it, so you're going to have to reload quite frequently. So every time you get a shot off and a hit off, make sure you reload as soon as possible. If you do miss, it's going to be quite a setback, and as with all shooting games, whenever reloading, you are going to move slower, which in this game is going to slow you down quite a bit. So you definitely don't want to over-rely on the Spear Gun. The Spirit Gun's other major weakness is going to be the environment itself. Obviously, you cannot shoot someone through the environment, so make sure you avoid that. But the other thing is, if you do manage to shoot a survivor, what they can do is they can use the environment to try to break the chain. So this is more likely than not going to happen on loops. Survivors are going to try to bait you into loops, and they're going to take advantage of the loop or the pallet drop, and they're going to use that to interrupt you trying to shoot them and reel them in. And then you do want to make sure you be very careful of this. So the best strategy is to stick to your Dead by Daylight fundamentals for the first hit, and then once the survivor is injured, you want to make sure you try to pressure them into open areas. Make sure you get them running in a straight line ahead of you, and then just make sure you use the real gun in order to finish them off, and that way you have a good balance of the two strategies. As for perks, the first 2 are going to revolve around generators. The first one is going to allow you to see the aura of generators after landing 2 basic attacks on a survivor, but more likely than not, it's not going to be super useful, as if you are landing basic attacks consistently on survivors, you are probably going to be in the midst of chases and can't really take advantage of the aura reading anyways. Dead Man's Switch is going to basically lock a certain generator if you do manage to hook the obsession, which again is going to help keep people off of generators. However, it's not something you can really force, so again, it's going to be something in the background. As for the last perk, which is going to be Retribution, it's not going to be super useful. It's going to revolve around the totems. However, it doesn't really pair well with our other perks or the current build that we have right now. So with all that out of the way, do keep in mind the Deathslinger is going to be a killer who's going to be a little clunky and does take a little practice to get a hold of, especially the shooting mechanics, but once you get it down to a science, you should be able to knock it off consistently. Thankfully, the real gun is going to be very useful if the survivors do end up fixing all of the generators, so hopefully you have a few survivors left on the board once that happens. The reason for that is once you approach the exit gate, you can stay really far away, and since most exit gates are going to be in big open areas anyways, you can take advantage of reeling them in before they can get the gates open and then punish accordingly. Make sure you try to take advantage of these strategies and then just go for the merciless killer rating. Remember everything else that goes with it. You need to make sure you spread your hits, downs, and hooks in to all 4 survivors and do well in all 4 of the major killer statistics. But once you do manage to pull it off, you should be good for the Merciless Killer rating as well as the Adept and the achievement that goes along with those. You can always check how well you did by going to the results screen, hitting right bumper, and seeing what you need to improve on. Once you do get that +2, you should be good for the achievement, 20 gamer score, and that's all there is to it.